We were just given a major foreshadowing into Jupiter's movement through Leo. This past week, we had Venus opposite Pluto. Venus moved into Leo and it opposed Pluto. It added tension to Pluto to really kind of push us to evolve our values, relationships, sense of self-worth, or finances. Maybe all of those things for some of us. To evolve them in ways that align up with our future goals, with our vision, our dream that we have for ourselves in our life. So there was a lot of clarity that we received on, okay, is this path that I'm heading down, is this person or this situation or this thing about my life in some sense, wherever you have Leo, does it match up with the long-term goal and vision that I'm moving towards, that I'm working towards at this time? And if not, it had to be let go of. Another major thing I've noticed with this past week specifically was a lot of us were kind of going in between grief and gratitude, really kind of grieving an old life in a way, or grieving the things that we have to let go of and remove from our lives in order to step forward, in order to have our next chapter and this new beginning with utmost ease and alignment that we can choose to create for ourselves by letting go of the things that don't serve us, right? And sometimes that's hard because we love the familiar. We love the the things that we're comfortable with as human beings. We love what's already in front of us that we've learned how to work with and that we're comfortable with, right? So there's been a lot of, especially as Mars is wrapping up its movement through Taurus, Jupiter is wrapping up its movement through Cancer, and both of those are activating each other at this time. There's a lot of just getting clarity on maybe some parts of our lives that we need to let go of or shift, even though it's uncomfortable, so that we can make room for the next thing. So we can make room for this big new chapter we are all in. So still in the kind of transition. There's a lot of big energy coming up this summer, a lot of big transits coming up this summer. I was talking about it last week, where I have done an overview of 2026 in two different parts inside of my membership community. So if you're inside my membership community, it's $15 a month. You get access to my living library of astrology and human design classes that I've taught, and I teach a new class every Wednesday. We host a Q&A from time to time in there as well. You'll see the upcoming events tab to see all of the upcoming events, classes that I'll be teaching in the coming weeks. But in the video library, my living library of classes, replays that I've taught, lives two parts to 2026. So I did a part one for 2026 and I did a part two for 2026. And part two goes into the summer and onward, the second half of 2026. And there's so much happening. So much happening. One of the reasons too, I'm so excited for the mail club. If you haven't seen me talk about this yet, y'all, I'm so excited. I finally got everything in to put together the envelopes to start sending them out. Last week I sent out the international letters. I sent some to Poland, Sweden, Norway, the UK, Canada. Like, excited me to know and to see that you're all over the world and that you want to get a monthly letter from me on the astrology. So I can finally show y'all what it's going to look like, and all the stickers are going to fall out here as I pull out the packet. But it is a letter from me on what is in store for July and a kind of breakdown of what's going on, the transits and what it means. And then there's reflection questions on the back to just kind of consciously work through what's coming up for you and write it down. Journaling is so helpful and so supportive at this time. There's also a calendar for the transits of July and kind of what everything means, what exactly is going to be going on. And then there's a collectible postcard for a certain transit this month. It's going to be Jupiter and Leo. And then there's lots of fun stickers. If you sign up for July's, you'll get a founding member sticker until I run out. I only have so many. And there'll be other fun stickers as well. So that's what's going to be included in the mail club. I'm sending those every single month to your physical mailbox. Like, I'm so excited. But July is really where a lot of things start to build, a lot of momentum starts to build. A lot of you have probably heard about the Mars Uranus conjunction we have coming up the first weekend in July. I think it peaks on July 3rd. That's a pretty big deal. We haven't had that in, haven't had Mars conjunct Uranus in Gemini since the 40s. And it is a big deal. I think it's going to kickstart a lot of us to really integrate themes of Uranus and Gemini in really big ways. And a lot of us are going to be taking action on communicating things, innovating our ideas, how we're sharing information, our communities, who we're talking to, how we're talking to people. Again, I think really like letters are going to thrive again. Snail mail is going to thrive again. I've been talking about this on my blog. And what else? Long form content, things like this. YouTube, I think books are making a major comeback because people are starting to really be overwhelmed by the short form content, short form content fatigue. A lot of us are getting short form content fatigue. And it's no surprise with Uranus and Gemini, just the way we're bombarded with so much all of the time. It's overwhelming a lot of people's nervous systems and they've had it, right? So I think that's going to be what we're going to see catapulted next trends with Mars and Uranus conjunction in Gemini is long form content, books, email. This is why Substack is kind of blowing up. YouTube is making a comeback. Like people are kind of tired of the speed at which the internet has evolved to right now. So we're all getting back to really analog, physical, mm, longer form things, slowing down. The internet is also creating just insane mental illnesses. Um, so, anyways, not to get off on that whole other tangent, maybe I'll make a separate YouTube video about what I see happening with that. Because I have seen a lot of like fear mongering about the Mars Uranus transit, which is just not what I want to see, honestly, in the world and not want to hear about. Like, it breaks my heart that people are spreading such aggressive, fear-based things about certain transits because that's it's not how I use astrology. It's not I what I believe astrology is for. So we don't do that. We don't do that here. I think this is going to be a lot of kickstarting of people, again, wanting to share more of their ideas and their information, put their knowledge out there, share with communities, host events, host gatherings, host talks. Kind of like what we saw happen during the pandemic, right? Was people really started to host these like circles and groups, and like even if it was over Zoom or video call, like we saw people making a comeback with like needing and finding ways to have true, authentic human interaction. So I think that's a lot of what we're going to see with Mars and Uranus conjunct in Gemini and beginning a new cycle that will take place over the next 2 years between Mars and Uranus. Another thing I think we're going to see too is this wave of new content, this wave of new creators, people starting to put themselves out there. And this is why I'm just so excited to be enrolling for my business course right now for this next week. If you haven't seen the emails about it, if you haven't seen me post about it yet, I have been enrolling for my business course the last couple weeks. And I'm so excited because I really feel like there's a wave of entrepreneurs coming up right now. Like they're you yourself might be called to entrepreneurship in some way, and I really feel this big wave of people stepping more into it, especially with Chiron and Taurus, like I just talked about in the recent video I posted about Chiron and Taurus. If you haven't checked that out yet, go check that out because that is also a big deal we have happening right now. There's again a lot building this summer. Um, and this week is kind of like a wrapping up. Like I said, as we have Mars about to move into Gemini, we have Jupiter about to move into Leo. There's this big closing out of a cycle related to stability, related to our foundations, related to our emotional support. And really being aware of and focused on, especially mentally with the upcoming Mercury retrograde we have in July, focused on does this support me or not? And okay, what do I actually need to feel and be supported, not only in my routines and my practices and have stability within myself for what I provide for myself and how I nurture myself, right? But also for how that is mirrored by the people you have around you at this time as well. So, a lot of us really just having to hold our standards, having to hold our value, um, and not settle for anything less than being matched in that at this time. Very, very big Chiron and Taurus themes we're getting a little glimpse of from now until September. So go check out the Chiron and Taurus video if you haven't already after you watch your horoscope. Big deal. We have kind of getting a glimpse of this energy from now until September, and then Chiron will go back into Taurus April 14th of 2027. So that's what the video is about that I just posted. Was that yesterday? Oh my God. I feel like this week has been so long. Like so much has been happening. Every single day feels like a week. But it's also going by so quickly. It's such a conundrum. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to share in regards to uh this upcoming week of transits? Again, I think there's a lot building. I was just looking at when we have the next full moon and it's on June 29th. So much is happening on June 29th, y'all. Like, whew, okay, but we'll talk about next week at the end when I give y'all a preview of next week's energy because it's a big week and it all really builds now. So this is kind of the week of closure, the week of wrapping up cycles, doing what we need to do to put things in place to move forward, more aligned and expanded in our joy and excitement. So that's the overview for this upcoming week. Let me know how it's showing up for you. Let me know how your resonate horoscopes. Let me know how your horoscope resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate all of this is for you and your life and what's going on for you personally. So let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, post a comment. I'll respond to as many as I can. And yeah, let's get into the horoscopes. Hi, Aries Rising. We start your week off with a lot of focus all of a sudden on your possessions, your home, your values, what you own, money, what you're doing with money. There's a lot of forward momentum in both of these areas of your life, especially this week, and maybe doing some cleanup, wrapping up some things there, in order to get more in alignment with how you want to move forward in both of those areas of your life with home and with money. Also, on Monday, the emotional focus is on your relationships. So there could be supportive people coming in to help you with what you want to do, or there could just be a lot of socializing taking place, or focusing on, okay, what do I value about the people around me and how can I have more of that in my life? Also, a big focus of Tuesday is emotionally on your relationships. There could be something though on Monday that feels like this tug of war between you needing to be disciplined with yourself versus balance within your relationships at the same time. Then on Tuesday, what's going on emotionally with your relationships is challenging something about home, challenging something about your ability to expand within your home or family in some way. So there could be just some emotional conflict or challenge between both of those areas of your life on Tuesday. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your shared resources, emotional vulnerability, debt, taxes, investments, as well as kind of any inner psychological transformation or spiritual awakening you're in. There's a big emotional focus on that, middle to end of the week. And there could be something on Wednesday that comes up in a major way around money, perhaps, and value, worthiness, receiving money or making money or any type of financial thing could come up for you to really look at it a deeper emotional way in order to move forward from a healed place with money and with possessions overall. There could also be some important conversations around money or sharing money in some way, maybe with home or family, perhaps on Thursday. There is a lot of emotional harmony between kind of maybe having a emotionally vulnerable conversation about money with home or family in some sense as well. As we head into Friday, there's tension between your emotional focus on shared resources. There's there's this kind of emotional tension between what you're able to do with money or take action on about possessions or money, and kind of where you're emotionally pulled as well, maybe like with other people's money or things like that. But at the same time, on Friday, there's harmony, Thursday and Friday, actually, there's harmony between what you're doing for yourself and how you can really be disciplined to your sense of self and your identity and moving forward into a big next chapter related to you and how you're sharing yourself or seeing. Being seen to the rest of the world and what's going on with your creative passion. So there could be something about money that it just kind of feels emotionally challenging, but then it's like it propels you to take action on something in a different way than you normally would, to share something creative or move towards a passion that is gonna, you find out is gonna make you money in some sense. And it's like, oh, I'm doing this because I love it. I didn't realize like it could also bring in more money for me and like solve the whatever tension there was there. Um, so that's also, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise. As we head into the weekend, the moon, the emotional focus moves into your area of philosophies of life, of your perspective, of your belief systems, also of travel. So there could be something that you're doing that you need to travel for, or you're realizing you want to like take a trip in order to get clarity around something, or you do take a trip and it gives you clarity. There's a lot of forward momentum emotionally in these kind of revelations around your mindset, around ideas, sharing information, putting things into motion, moving forward with certain things. That kind of extends into Sunday as well. But especially on Sunday, there's a lot of emotional harmony too for between taking action on what you're doing creatively, what you're wanting to step into, that's a passion for you. There's a lot of emotional harmony over the weekend on taking action and really moving forward with the things that you've been wanting to do and just remaining disciplined to what's going on. There could also be all week, maybe some weird dreams or some fogginess or spaciness, but it's like trust your instincts, trust your intuition, trust your instincts, trust what you're led to do when you're led to do it to move forward in a way that feels joyous and aligned for you. So that's your week ahead, Aries. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life personally. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Taurus Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your day-to-day work, routines, how you're taking care of your physical health and balancing that with mental health. There could be something on Monday that's a little tension producing, in both of those areas, like you needing to emotionally focus on your health or work in some sense, but there's also this pull towards like, okay, well, I need to do this in order to take care of my mental health. And it's kind of like just trust your rhythms and trust your flow for how to navigate this energy. Your instincts know what's best for you at any given time, right? And so it's like, don't get bogged down in the mental of it. Just trust what you're led to do when you're led to do it, and don't put too much pressure on yourself to like do it in a certain time frame or have it all figured out in a certain way. It's like really trust your flow at this time. And there might be some people you can call or spend time around talking to that are going to support you in that realization as well. There's a lot of momentum now on your communication styles, your sense of self, your appearance. There might be some major healing that's happening in both of those areas with like moving forward in these new ways of communicating yourself in a way that feels good, that feels like you're going to be met emotionally in what you want to do and how to move through life really on a daily basis. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your relationships, other people. It kind of like forces you to speak up for something that, again, is all about communication and how you communicate your needs emotionally in order for them to be met. There's a lot of focus on that and not acting from a wounded or a triggered place, but just communicating like, hey, I didn't like this about that, or I need this for that, or, whatever it is. As we head into Thursday, the emotional focus that's on your relationships is kind of putting some challenge or conflict on what's going on with home or family temporarily. There could just be like a little emotional upset there, but at the same time, there's a lot of harmony with your inner world and what you're taking action on within your inner foundations, your inner joy, and doing in order to have more harmony and more expression of your childlike self and like your passions and your creativity. There is a lot of positive forward momentum from your inner foundations as well, even if you have to have a hard conversation this week with someone in your life. It feels like you're just so solid in how you move now that it's not gonna rock you the same that maybe it would have before. Especially on Friday, there could be some just emotional upsets between relationships and what's going on with you and what you're needing to act on or move forward with as it relates to you and your sense of self, and what is kind of evolving there and taking place. But again, at the same time, there's this feeling of inner solidity and how you're moving. And it's just about communicating from a place of vulnerability, which leads us into Saturday when the emotional focus shifts into your area of emotional vulnerability. So there might be some breakthroughs that come about over the weekend within your inner world, and more so these things that you're taking action on. There is a big need again to really act on what you want to do and move forward in ways that really feel joyous and aligned for you and not get bogged down in these relational conflicts that are happening, because it's like that saying, muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone or whatever. It's kind of that energy where it's like there might need to be a little bit of space in order to feel better about what's happening moving forward, and like space in order to focus on you and your inner world as opposed to getting like caught up and bogged down by these other things. And that continues to be the energy on Sunday. We also have like this big, how do I say? Saturday and Sunday are really big days of motivation and drive and momentum. So there's like all of this building that, again, your inner solidity is really just feeling more solid than ever. And there's a lot that you're feeling called to do and create and share and put out there over the weekend. So it's just important that you take action where you're led to and trust your instincts and trust your intuition. Even if some things still feel a little unclear, it's like, okay, focus on what does feel clear, focus on what is exciting for you to do or focus on or share or create. And that is your week ahead, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Gemini Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your creative pursuits, dating, passions, romance, children, perhaps. There's a lot of focus on creativity. At the same time, there's this sense of like, okay, what do I have to be a little bit more selective about or boundaried with as it relates to relationships and community and people that are tied into that? It's kind of like you have to maybe just schedule time out or pencil time in for yourself to focus on your creative passions and not get overwhelmed by socializing or relationships so that they don't take like the most focus, um like, and pull you away from what you're doing and what you're building. Kind of the energy on Monday as we head into Tuesday. There could be something challenging that takes place emotionally between creative passions, projects, and money. There could just be a little bit of an emotional frustration that occurs, kind of requiring you to speak up for yourself as it relates to money, value, worth, possessions in some sense. This could be, what kind of needing to share, needing to put something out there, voice something about what you're doing creatively in order to have it be seen, to feel more expanded or supportive in money in some sense as well. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your day to day, your work routines, your health, your physical, how you're balancing physical and mental health. There's a big emotional focus on that on Wednesday. And it kind of is putting tension on something about your inner world, something about your mindset, some wound perhaps related to your value and what you're doing, self-worth, again, money stuff. It's like just do the thing that you're led to do and trust that you're going to be supported no matter what is a big energy this week, and really solidifying that more in so than ever before, becoming more embodied in your worth and your value, and that you are being supported and taken care of because you're aligning more so with your joy and your passion and what you actually want to be doing, as opposed to just going through the motions in order to have success or whatever in a certain way. Thursday, the emotional focus on your work and health could challenge something about your voice, your communication, how you're sharing ideas and information. But at the same time, it's like don't let that bog you down. That might even fuel you to share something in a different way or communicate yourself in order to be seen or be heard around whatever this is. There also is this sense of a lot of harmony between what you're doing and what you're building long term. So don't get distracted by temporary emotional upsets, right? It's kind of like use it as fuel, use it as information, and keep doing what you're doing, keep sharing what you're sharing, and building what you're building. Friday, there could be something a little bit challenging that comes up emotionally as well between physical health, work, and your mindset or your inner world. There could be this sense of inner tension or maybe doubt in some sense of like what you're doing. Again, it's like don't get bogged down by the temporary emotional upsets. Just keep doing what you're doing, like stay in your lane. What you're building is what you need to be building. Like it's all aligned, it's all going to work out, and just kind of staying focused on that. Honor the emotions and feel it, but don't let it decide for you, right? Keep following your passion and your instincts and your intuition. Saturday and over the weekend, the emotional focus moves into your area of relationships. So there could be some people in your life that you're calling on or you have around you to support you in what you're doing, collaborations, yeah, there's a lot of momentum in all of your areas of like people and connections and momentum there and sharing ideas and information and talking to people. Like there's a lot of maybe even social stuff you're doing over the weekend. And it kind of inspires you more so creatively as well and helps you to see that that doubt isn't real. And as we end out the week on Sunday, there is more of that creative momentum and harmony between what you're doing and what you're building, what you're taking action on. There's also this big sense, a big, how do I say that? Big energy, momentum building of renewal with your energetic expression and how you take action and what you take action on. So it's kind of like if things have felt a little slow, that is ending and ending really quickly as we get towards closer to July. So that's your week ahead, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Cancer Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your home and family. There might be some things that you're cleaning up about home, your living situation, or related to family things, or just more focus on your inner world and spending a lot more time with yourself to recharge your energy, perhaps. There is this sense as well on Monday of some tension between your ability to focus on home and what's going on with career. Maybe it's like you really need a day of rest to recharge, but you have to work or you have to like solve problems or put out fires within like your career or work in some sense. As we head into Tuesday, there's something about your emotional focus on home and family that is challenging you, that's challenging your appearance, your sense of self, your identity, and what has been expanding there and what you're perhaps focused on in terms of like taking care of yourself better than you ever have before, nurturing yourself in ways that you really need. And there's something about that that is challenged by what's going on with home or family. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your area of creative passions, dating, romance, perhaps. There is this focus on what am I creating? What am I sharing? What is my true passion? And putting a lot of energy into that or just getting clarity on what that is and how to make more time for it, how to focus on it. It is this energy of needing to share and create and do related to what is an obsession for you. And maybe it's just something that comes so natural. You haven't perhaps realized it could be a business or it could be something that you make money from or a side hustle or whatever. And so there is that sense of getting clarity in terms of, oh, I could pursue this long term, or this could be a part of my vision or build my dream of what I want to do moving forward. There's a big sense of that as well. As we head into Thursday, the emotional focus on your creative passions, pursuits, like I said, dating, romance, perhaps as well, is challenging what's going on with money. So this could be that breakthrough of like, oh, I just love doing this for the sake of doing it, but also I could get paid for it. And it kind of expands your horizon of what's possible for you with your creative passions and ventures. There's also this sense of there's a lot of harmony between what you're focused on in terms of money and career and how those two tie in together. So there's a lot of forward momentum of taking action on these things. There could be a temporary, like I said, emotional challenge with money related to creative passions or pursuits in some sense as well. But it's like it gives you that breakthrough, kind of a blessing in disguise of like how to evolve something in order to move forward more so in alignment than perhaps you were with whatever this is. As we head into Friday, there could be some temporary emotional tension between what's going on with passions, your creativity, your joy, children, perhaps, if that applies, or dating romance, if that applies, and kind of friendships. Like there could be this push and pull between your ability to focus on your creative passions and what's going on with friendships or what's going on with community, social media, perhaps. Maybe a day to take time off social media could be if you create content, there could be weird comments, stuff like that. But at the same time, there's a lot of harmony on sharing yourself and creating and just not getting bogged down in the noise of what people have to say about it that isn't true and doesn't feel uh authentic. As we head into the weekend on Saturday, the emotional focus shifts onto your day-to-day work, routines, health, and there's some tension that adds to whatever's going on with your inner world, your mental health, the subconscious, what changes you're experiencing within your mindset. So there could be this kind of tug of war between, again, facing themes of like, oh, is this what I should be doing? Or people are saying this about it. Is it true? Blah blah. And it's like this theme of doubt a little bit and not just don't give weight to that because it's not true. As long as you are doing what you love and you're truly following your passion, like it's all going to work out. And that's just where I see your major focus at this time, Cancer, is like on doing the things, putting it out there, creating for the sake of creating and letting it do what it's going to do to provide for you moving forward. So there's a lot of momentum on just putting things out there and taking the action over the weekend for you, especially as we head into Sunday. There's a lot of harmony between what you're doing on a daily basis, making money, career. Like there's a lot of positive momentum on all of those things, and about to be a lot of expansion within your resources and your money and your possessions. So, what you're doing now is building the framework, the foundation for that expansion to come when Jupiter moves into Leo next week, which is crazy. All right, so that is your horoscope for the week, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Leo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your communication, your day-to-day errands, where you're going, who you're talking to. There's something about that Monday, like you might be just really busy with things, and it is kind of putting tension on your ability to be steadfast or committed or disciplined to building something. There could be, if you're traveling, some maybe just emotionally, temporary emotional setbacks or challenges that you face with travel plans or anything like that. There could also be this kind of tug of war between your inner world and your outer world as it relates to communication and belief system. So there's a big focus on that at the start of the week. As we head into, especially Tuesday, actually, Tuesday, the emotional focus on your day to day and your communication, how you're sharing ideas and information is challenging what's going on in your mental health, what's going on in your belief system. So there's this big, maybe epiphany that occurs of like, oh, I need to get this person out of my life, or I need to like not have people like this around me that speak to me this way or speak to themselves that way or whatever, because then it like creates your inner dialogue and it might be just, I don't know, having some, how do I say? It might just be influencing your inner dialogue in a way that's not helpful, in a way that's not supportive of you and what you're doing and what you're building. So there's this sense of like, okay, I need to kind of clean this up a little bit more, clean up my mindset, clean up like my practices, perhaps my spiritual practices, and what you're like doing on a daily basis to support the mindset that's going to get you to where you're going as opposed to recreating the past. Does that make sense? It's like stop focusing on the noise, don't focus on the noise, focus on what you're doing, what you're building. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus for you shifts into your area of home and family. There could be a lot of inner world stuff, again, mindset stuff that you're focused on, going within, spending more time within your inner world to build up some more supportive foundation emotionally for yourself that is going to help you build what you're building and get you to where you're going long term. And it's like these almost like if you watch interviews with successful people or you watch motivational speakers, they all kind of say the same thing. And it's like you just have to stay focused on what you're building and have blinders on and like not let the haters get you down and keep doing the things and also have these practices within your day that are supportive for you in terms of building yourself up and having these things that you do that nourish you and support you. So there's a big focus on that this week of just getting those things into place, putting them into practice. If they haven't already, maybe if you already have, making some just minor adjustments that feel more emotionally supportive and fulfilling for you and what you're doing, what you're building. There is at the same time a lot of momentum on taking action, on putting things out there. There is this sense as well of like needing to be seen or things really just naturally being seen from what you're doing or what you have been building. And there's a lot of eyes on you and visibility, it feels like at the same time in certain ways. And again, it's just like have that inner self solid so that whatever people say about you, whether it's good or bad, doesn't sway you from your inner knowing of yourself and what you're doing. As we head into Friday, there could be something about home and family that is pulling you emotionally, that maybe is adding some tension to your ability to act or do something within career. So there could be something about that that comes up. But at the same time, it's like, again, what are your practices that you have built, your meditation, your affirmations, your just like being your own best cheerleader or parent or talking to yourself like you are your inner child, you know what I mean? Like really supporting and encouraging yourself. What are those inner themes and foundations? Because they're going to get you through these temporary emotional frustrations, especially whatever happens on Friday, that kind of brings into play your career visibility. Then, as we head into the weekend on Saturday, the emotional focus shifts into your creative passions, what you're putting out there that's a joy for you, that is a creative pursuit, a passion project. There's, again, a lot of momentum as we end out the week on doing, on taking action, on building the things in a way that really is truly aligned and joyful for what your future goals are and what your vision is for what you're doing and what you're building for yourself long term moving forward. So there's a lot of momentum on that and staying focused in your lane as we end out the week because there's things are going to shift and shift really quickly as we get into next week. So that is your week ahead, Leo. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments and I'll see you next week. Hi, Virgo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your money. Also, values, material possessions, and how the people around you kind of tie into that. Your connections, your relationships, do they support where you're headed with those things, or not? There's also a lot of momentum and harmony between what you're building long term within your sense of self, with your inner security, your inner foundations, and how that relates to the creative pursuits and things that you're taking action on at this time and building for yourself that are perhaps new and different than what you've ever done before. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus on your money, possessions, resources is challenging what's going on with community or friendships. There might just have to be a conversation you have with someone related to that of like, hey, I didn't feel good about this, or this is what I need in order to feel more supported moving forward. There is kind of this like uncomfortableness about it. Um, you got to speak up for yourself and your needs, but it's also like the people who are truly supportive of you will understand and meet you there, right? Is the big energy on Tuesday. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your day to day, who you're talking to, where you're going on a daily basis. There could be some major mindset perspective wound or trigger that's brought up emotionally as well. Like, I don't know, kind of like this small voice of self-doubt, perhaps, of like how you're speaking up for yourself and your needs in order to have them met by the people around you, or how you're sharing your ideas. There's a sense of like, is it really valuable? Is this really worth something? Blah 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 blah. Right? It's like this this small voice of self-doubt, and it's just important that you reframe it. You might have to, it might help for you to have, again, supportive people around you that can walk you through that or talk you through that in order to come to a more supportive place with how you handle when these little doubts, these little mindset things creep in for you moving forward. As we head into Thursday, there is a kind of peak energy between what's going on in your inner world and what you're building, what you're being disciplined with and taking action on. This could relate to mindset, this could relate to spiritual practices, emotional vulnerability, shared resources, perhaps, as well as like your psychic abilities, spiritual abilities, intuitive abilities. There's this sense of harmony or completion with like what you're doing and how you're sharing, and feeling more solid with it and moving forward with like what you have built as, again, these inner foundations, this inner sense of solidity with what you're doing from an internal place. So it's like whatever happens on the external, you know you're going to be okay, because on the internal, you're in a much more solid place than you perhaps ever have been before. And so that is just going to become very clear to you and apparent um, on Thursday. And there could be something that you're called to do or take action on as it relates to that as well. So follow your instincts and your intuition. As we head into Friday, there's a lot of emotional harmony between, yeah, sharing yourself, speaking up for yourself, sharing ideas, doing things within your community on social media, with friends, networking, or sharing ideas and information, like doing, like having, hosting a class or a workshop, or there is a lot of harmony between that on Friday. And at the same time, on Friday, the emotional focus shifts into your home and family and inner world. So there could be this sense of like, needing to recharge, rest and recharge, and spend more time again on building those solid inner foundations for yourself to move forward from that place of solidity with what you're doing on the external. Because there's there's a lot of busyness on the external, and if you don't have those like solid foundations in place, right, it can feel chaotic very easily and very quickly. And so that's kind of where you're at as we end out the week here and over the weekend. There is this sense of like, okay, as things really get busy for me, as things really move forward, how do I more mm, seamlessly have like and stay how do I say it? Stay centered in your inner world and your inner solidity and your foundations. Because there's about to be a lot of forward momentum and positive change in your work and your career, perhaps with community as well. And it's like you need to have these solid inner foundations really in check moving forward to not get rocked by all of the external momentum that has been building for you, Virgo. So that's your week ahead. Let me know how it resonates with you in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Libra Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on you, your sense of self, your appearance, your identity. There could be this sense at the start of the week of emotional renewal, feeling more clear emotionally about yourself and how you connect to others, relate to others, what you need in terms of relationships around you. There is this sense of more, okay, this is what I needed, or feeling more mm, how do I say it? Like emotionally solid within yourself because of the connections that you have around you at this time. At the same time, though, on Monday, there could be this sense of emotional tension between your ability to focus on you and what you need and what you want and what is happening or occurring in relationships or what you have been building there within relationships. It's kind of like what needs more balance is the focus on Monday. And as we head into Tuesday, there could be some challenges or conflicts emotionally between you and what's going on with career. There could be a sense of maybe falling down rabbit holes with career and getting too involved in, I don't know, things that just don't really matter, like with what you're doing in career or what you want to do with career. So there could be this sense of like, okay, I want to do this and I'm more embodied in this than I ever have been before, but something about that is challenging career or vice versa. right? So it's kind of like, how do you move forward? How do you evolve? What do you pivot in order to bring both of those areas into greater harmony? What needs a little bit of an adjustment between you and your sense of self, appearance, and career? As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your money, your resources, your possessions. There's a lot of forward momentum on that area. There's a lot of emotional drive towards money, maybe perhaps making it in new ways or just getting more clarity on what you want to do moving forward with money or for money. Maybe cleaning up money in some sense as well. Maybe getting more talks of if you share resources with anyone or need like investments, taxes, debt, getting maybe a little bit emotionally vulnerable around that with someone, perhaps if that applies. There's also this sense of like maybe a money wound or a trigger being brought up in terms of embodiment with your value and your worth and what you are doing for money. But there is at the same time a lot of positive momentum on career and money and moving forward with these things in ways that feel really aligned for you moving forward and what is building, contributing to your vision. Also, Wednesday and Thursday, there's a lot of forward momentum between relationships and long-term goals and visions, your network. There could be things, opportunities coming into you to do things or to share your ideas or collaborations to move forward with things in a way that is like, okay, here we go. This is what I've been wanting to build. This is aligned with my vision. This is aligned with my dream. And so there's a lot of positive momentum at the same time on that as well. Wednesday and Thursday. Then as we head into Friday, early on Friday, there could be this sense of emotional tension between money and shared resources. There could be something that kind of propels you to take action on something in some sense with money or resources as well. Just at the same time, it's like there's something that is tension producing, but it forces you to evolve in needed ways. And then it is a blessing in disguise in terms of your ideas or your creative potential, inspiration with what you're doing and moving forward with in as far as money and career. As we head into midday and onwards on Friday, the emotional focus shifts into your day to day, your communication, where you're going, who you're talking to, and kind of puts tension on what's changing about your belief systems, what's expanding perhaps, or what is calling for an innovation within your mindset, your philosophies of life, your perspective. There could be some breakthroughs that come about from this on Friday, kind of more creative inspiration, again, around what you're building, what you're taking action on at this time. As we head into the weekend, there's a lot even more. There's even more focus on building, on momentum. You could be really busy all of a sudden. There's a lot of momentum between where you're going, who you're talking to, planning, collaborations, networking, people, and there's a lot of action and forward momentum in all of these areas of your life, and a lot of illumination of career as well at the same time. And maybe more so than ever, feeling really aligned with what you're doing in career and how it's all moving forward and coming together as we end out the week on Sunday. There's more of that. There's also a lot of perhaps speed that comes about rapidly with perspective shifts and belief system shifts and mindset shifts. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, here we go. Like, I'm glad I had that time to prepare for this because things are moving a lot more quickly than they ever have been as we end out this month. So that is your week ahead, Libra. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Scorpio Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your mental health, your inner world, but something about that could put tension on Monday, your work or your physical health and kind of your routines or your schedule. There's this sense of you've been building solidity within your schedule or your routines for work and for physical health in this new way, or that's more aligned with where you're headed. And there's something about your maybe emotionally, there's something that comes up within your inner world that kind of puts tension on that and forces you to maybe mm, get more clarity on what you need to balance physical and mental health in better ways. Maybe it's a spiritual practice or incorporating something new into your routine that Just allows you to feel better about what you're doing and like how you're supporting your emotional health. Tuesday, the emotional focus on your inner world, your subconscious, your mental health is challenging what's going on with your belief systems or your perspectives of life and what's been expanding about how you view the world and what you believe about the world. So there could again be something that you need to just mm, shift or adjust slightly within how you take care of maybe these mental patterns or belief systems that are kind of reoccurring within your inner world around certain things. It's like, okay, if you have this belief that this always happens to you, duh, it's gonna always happen to you. And so there's like this need to adjust it and do something differently or see something differently and have a practice that supports that moving forward. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into you, your sense of self, your identity. There's a sense of emotional renewal or emotional transformation that occurs. And it does feel supportive to expanding your mindset. Whatever's been happening with like your perspectives of life or your what you're learning, what you're teaching the last year is getting this kind of final wrap up and illumination of, okay, I learned this and it changed my worldview, it changed my perspective, it changed how I incorporate certain spiritual practices or things into my life, and now I feel more solid with it moving forward than I ever have before. There could also be from that supportive relationships as well, but on Wednesday, there's a little bit of tension between what's coming up or being triggered in relationships and your ability to emotionally focus on yourself. So there needs to be some sort of, again, thing you just adjust slightly in order to have balance between how you take care of yourself and your needs and what's coming up within relationships that kind of need some adjustments or focus on healing or shifting as well. Also, on Wednesday and Thursday, there's a lot of harmony between what you're doing for work and career, physical health, perhaps as well, balancing all of that work-life balance, and what you're building or feeling more aligned with building or sharing or doing within your career to build some sort of image or reputation for yourself that's more aligned with joy or your creative passions and pursuits, and maybe related to like what you've been picking up or choosing to focus more on about in your life and bringing that into career or work in some way as well. Um, Thursday, though, there could be some greater tension emotionally between you and your relationship. So it's important not to get bogged down by temporary emotional challenges on Thursday within other people, about other people, in regards to other people in your life. And it's kind of like stay focused emotionally on what you need, what's going to fill your cup, and again, maybe further solidifying in some mindset work or teaching something related to that that feels emotionally nourishing and supportive for you as much as it does for who you're sharing information with or who or what you're nurturing as well. Kind of putting your focus on work as opposed to like the challenges, the emotional challenges. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus for you shifts onto money, possessions, values. There could be something about that that relates to shared resources that you get a breakthrough around of like, oh, I need to shift this or I need to adjust this. There's a lot of as we head into the weekend and end out this week, a lot of momentum on money, possessions, what you're doing for money, how you're making it, where it's coming from, what you're doing with it, as well as work and career and what you're building for yourself there that's maybe newer, different than what you've done before, and really feels more aligned with this next chapter and where you're headed than perhaps you ever have. And so there could be something a little bit of a breakthrough energy on Friday around that. And then as we end out the week, there's a lot of momentum on like building it, putting it into action, doing the thing, putting yourself out there, sharing the ideas, creating whatever it is. So that is your week ahead, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Sagittarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your community, friendships, social media, your relationships and connections, as well as how that ties into your long-term goals and vision. So there could be a lot of emotional clarity you're receiving about this area of your life. There could also be something about that puts tension on dating or romance or these new chapters you're beginning with creative passions or projects. As Could also be children if that applies too. But it's kind of like, how are you balancing your focus on long-term goals and visions and relationships with creative time? Time for you to pursue what is just a joy for you to do and to create and build, even if maybe it doesn't like do anything, right? Um, and maybe feeling more emotionally supported from your connections as well in regards to that, or realizing what you need to feel more supported from your connections in regards to that. As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus on your community, long-term goals and visions is challenging what's going on with shared resources, challenging some sort of communication of the emotional vulnerability kind, or related to intimacy in some way. So there could be something that is just challenging about a connection or friendships or social media that kind of yeah, challenges how you're expanding within shared resources. This can be investments, taxes, debt, perhaps spiritual gifts or abilities as well, or just like what's transforming about your inner world. There is a little bit of emotional challenge around that on Tuesday. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your inner world. This feels like a time to really reflect, to go within, to build more solidity within your inner world or clear some emotional things, really alchemize through emotion, perhaps middle towards the end of the week. You might need to spend more time alone with yourself within spiritual practices that help you to just get clarity on what's going on within your subconscious, these kind of themes in your inner world emotionally that are coming up to work through. There could also be on Monday something about work or something about health that triggers that and has you kind of look deeper at, okay, what supportive things do I need in my life to take care of my mental health as well as my physical health? As we head into Thursday, there's a lot of there's a lot of positive momentum and energy building Wednesday and Thursday on your creative pursuits, passions, as well as like seeing life from a different perspective, perhaps building new belief systems for yourself or just viewing life differently as a whole and really seeing it more so through a joyful lens of like kind of filtering everything through the lens of joy. Like, does this bring me joy? Yes. Okay, let's do more of it. Let's say yes to this. Let's create that. Does this bring me joy? No. Okay, let me not do that. There's kind of this sense of you ridding anything from your life that doesn't really feel aligned with joy. And again, doesn't feel emotionally supportive for what you're doing and what you're building. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto you, your sense of self, your identity. There could be something about that prompts some sort of breakthrough about you, how you're presenting yourself to the world, belief systems around image, or like how you view yourself, how you view your body could also apply to that as well. There is a sense though, as we end out the week of emotional renewal, and maybe more so coming out of a fog and feeling like yourself again in a lot of ways. And there could, because of that, be some tension that's applied to changes within relationships. And again, kind of has you filtering everything through joy of like, okay, now that I feel this way, do I still want to move forward with this or that or whatever it is, right? And then as we head into the weekend on Saturday, there's a lot of emotional harmony, especially between what you're doing, how you're sharing yourself, what you're putting out there to the world, what you're teaching, what you're learning, and just kind of maybe feeling more creatively inspired, more like taking action on certain things. Because there's a lot of momentum building behind the scenes, even if we don't see it just yet, it is gonna come July. There is a lot of fast forward momentum. So it's kind of like do the inner cleanup you need right now to be prepared for the energy when it shifts. So that's your week ahead, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Capricorn Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your career, your reputation, your image. Something about that, though, is putting tension on what's going on with home or family or what you're building there for yourself long term within home, family, or your inner world, your foundations. There is kind of some tension between those two areas of your life. And has you kind of thinking, what do I need to change or clean up a little bit to have more harmony between both of these areas of my life? As we head into Tuesday, the emotional focus on your career, your reputation is challenging what's going on with relationships. So there might be this need to communicate within relationships about something emotionally, maybe connected to career or work in some sense as well. And so that you can feel more expanded in relationships and feel more emotionally supported with career, what's going on there. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your long-term goals, visions, and it's harmonizing with relationships. So it feels like there's a lot of supportive people coming through for you at this time, or that you're really building around you this solid network that is helping you align with your long-term goals and visions, or what you're doing on social media or within your community. There is a sense of things really feeling more harmonious and building. Although at the same time, there could be something about that emotionally, perhaps Wednesday, that kind of triggers some wound with creativity or passions, or maybe something about inner child stuff as well. As we head into Thursday, uh, there's a lot of like really inner world building at this time on what are you building for yourself as in terms of a solid foundation of what you need with home or with family, as well as shared resources and investments, what you're doing with money, how you're spending money, what you're how you're sharing money with others perhaps, or paying off debt, taxes, that kind of thing as well. Um, that's Wednesday and Thursday. And then also on Thursday, there is a lot of emotional harmony between, again, connections and friendships and feeling maybe more supported by relationships and the people around you than you ever have before, and kind of wrapping up like this expansion cycle within that area of your life. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your subconscious, your mental health, and kind of puts tension on what's changing about, or what's changing about work, or something that you're innovating about your routine. It's kind of like, again, with this big focus on your foundations, your schedule, what you're doing on a daily basis, to take care of and support yourself with work and also with health, and how you're balancing mental and physical health. So there could be a breakthrough on Friday around that. As we head into Saturday, there's a lot more emotional harmony of your inner world and really building things because of the breakthrough. It's like, okay, here's what I'm going to do and here's how I'm going to do it. There's a lot of positive forward momentum on your inner world and what, again, solid foundations you're building there, more so that's aligned with joy and what you want to do long term, or what you have been really working towards building for yourself. And that's kind of how we end out your week. There's a lot of, as we end out the week too on Sunday, like forward positive momentum with work. So it's important that, again, you have these solid foundations so you don't get swept up by how everything is changing and changing quickly, and the momentum is building faster than it has been. So that is your week ahead, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Aquarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your perspective, your belief systems, your mindset. It's kind of putting tension on what your like solidity or commitment or discipline within what you're doing, or where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis. There could be a lot about your communication styles changing, your routines changing. And so on Monday, there's kind of this sense of like having a more worldly view or a long-term view of what you're doing and what you're building, that contributes to like your actual day to day and doing things that really align with where you want to go, as opposed to just like treading water. Tuesday, the emotional focus on your higher perspective, your philosophies of life, your mindset is challenging what's going on with work, challenging what's going on with your routines, your physical health. So again, there could be this sense of like, frustration between these two areas of your life of I really need to see this differently, or I really need to put myself around more supportive people to align with my goals and what I want to build for myself, and also really getting clear on what foundational structure, systems, schedule you need in order to move forward with those things. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your career, your reputation, your image, and there could be something about that at the beginning of Wednesday adds tension to some triggers or wounds within home or family that are coming up all of a sudden. It feels like there's something about home or family that's really being triggered in a major way, as far as worth, value, like is it really aligned with what you want to build and who you've become and how you're changing in your sense of self. And so there's kind of like, okay, this maybe a little bit of an existential crisis about everything that you've been building and whether or not it's actually aligned with what you want. And if not, there needs to be adjustments, right? Wednesday and Thursday as well, there's a lot of positive momentum on career, on where you're going, who you're talking to, on your daily routines, again, and the relationships you have around you that feel supportive or don't. There's this lens that needs to be, how do I say, like, focused on filtering life through of does this bring me joy? Is this really what I want? Is it fun? Is it exciting? Is it joyful? And if not, it really needs to be like trimmed the fat in a sense. And Thursday, there could be some sort of breakthrough, Thursday or Friday. Could be some big emotional breakthrough as it relates to that, with home and family and career as well, and how you're balancing both of these areas of your life. And then as we get later into Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your long-term goals, visions. There's a sense of a breakthrough that comes, as it relates to, again, what you're doing creatively or what you're doing that maybe hasn't been a passion for you. And so, if there's something that needs to change about that, you're getting clarity on what to do and how to move forward with what actually is a true passion for you and step into it and getting that push to really do it at this time. That's more so aligned with your vision and your long-term goals. Especially on Saturday, there's a lot of positive momentum and building and taking action, based around the breakthroughs or these insights that you have received up until really this whole week. It feels like it builds, and then over the weekend, it's like, okay, here we go. Here's how I do this. Here's what I put into place, put into action, kind of thing. And then there is a sense of a lot of positive momentum, especially as we end out the week on Sunday. A lot of forward momentum within your creative passions and pursuits. Perhaps dating or romance too, if that applies, or children. There's a lot of like positive movement and drive there. Things kind of shifting really quickly. So that is your week ahead, Aquarius. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you in your life. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Pisces Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on shared resources, emotional vulnerability, intimacy, debt, taxes, investments. There could be something about that you're getting clarity around, maybe as it relates to your actual finances as well, and how you're balancing that with other people's finances, perhaps, and maybe what just needs to be kind of cleaned up about money, how you're making it, where it's going, what you're doing with it, all that kind of stuff. As we head into Tuesday, there's a lot of how do I say, positive momentum building between what you're doing for money and work and career and all of these areas of like work and career and value. Lots of positive momentum building because of what you've been disciplined with or what you have built a solid foundation around moving forward and stepped into this new chapter. Perhaps there's just a lot that's really coming together for you and really moving, in the direction that you've been wanting. And if not, there are these things that you're realizing you need to make adjustments around in order to feel more in alignment. Tuesday is kind of one of those days where it's like there's emotional challenges between like shared resources, again, like other people's money in your life, or emotional vulnerability, and then creative stuff. Maybe needing to, I don't know. It's kind of this sense of not feeling supported in some sort of way with what you're doing. And so there needs to be an adjustment so that you there needs to be something that you evolve as it relates to that so that you do feel more supported moving forward of what you're doing and how you're going about doing it. And this perhaps could require you to speak up for yourself and speak up for your needs and what you're realizing you need or want in order to have everything be aligned with your vision and what new chapter you are building in a major way. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your mindset. So there could be some belief system wound that comes up, some wound of worthiness or value around communication styles, or again, how you're asking for what you need, how you're speaking up for yourself and what you need, maybe emotionally as well or financially. There's a sense of, again, needing to really like speak your piece. And know that you'll be supported through it. And there's also at the same time a lot of inspiration and positive momentum on your creative passions, teaching, sharing your wisdom, kind of seeing things from a different perspective, and yeah, just feeling maybe more so in flow as well with all these things. And it's like, oh, I just need to speak up about that. And like that really creating a sense of relief. Wednesday and Thursday as well, there's, like I said, a lot of momentum, positive forward action needing to be taken, perhaps around what you're building with money, work, and career. And so that's something that is really building all week. And especially Wednesday and Thursday, there's a lot of momentum there and important not to get bogged down in like the emotional frustrations of it all. Friday, the emotional focus shifts into your area of career. There could be some sort of breakthrough with career, maybe related to home or family. Maybe you moved recently and it supports where you're headed with career and all this positive momentum that's building with work and all these other areas of your life. Or maybe you're realizing you need to move to support that. There is some sort of like insight breakthrough that you receive tied to work and home, tied to career and home in some way. And then as we end out the week, Saturday, there's just a lot of action momentum that you're feeling inspired to take, build, do, create, share. Sunday, a lot of shifts. As we end out this month, I mean, there's just a lot shifting and moving forward in the directions of truly our expansion and what we've been wanting. So that is your week ahead, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, next week, like I said at the beginning of the video, there's just so much momentum building. And Monday, June 29th, is a really big day because we have a full moon in Capricorn, we have Mercury retrograde beginning, we have Jupiter moving into Leo. Mars is now in Gemini on Uranus. That happened on June 28th on the Sunday. Um, so there's just a lot of like, okay, here we freaking go. Like this is the energy we've been waiting for all year. Things are moving and moving forward really quickly. And although we have a Mercury retrograde, I don't think it's gonna slow things down too much. I think this Mercury retrograde is more so about feeling emotionally supported within ourselves as much as we feel emotionally supported externally. Um, and I've kind of been talking about this, I feel like, for a couple weeks. And I think I posted a blog post on Mercury retrograde if you want to go check that out at astrologyhumandesign.com. Um, in terms of like what it's, I know I posted a reel about Mercury retrograde. I think I also posted on my blog, but yeah, like whatever's been coming up for you around communication and emotional support and receiving as much as you give or giving as much as you receive, having reciprocal connections, emotionally supportive reciprocal connections, whatever's been coming up around that in your life since June 13th is going to be reevaluated with Mercury retrograde. And so I don't know, it's interesting. We have Mars Uranus conjunction coming up in Gemini. Mars is in Gemini now, and Mars in Gemini 1,000 miles an hour. We're talking, we're doing, we're moving, like just a lot of forward momentum. At the same time, Gemini's ruler Mercury is retrograde, so it's kind of like, I don't know, trust your instincts. Um, and then Jupiter moving into Leo, challenging Chiron. It's kind of like further themes of what we've been dealing with the last month or so, of really needing to filter everything from a lens of does this support me? Does this feel joyful to me? Does this really truly excite me? Or am I just doing this to achieve a result, or am I just doing this to go through the motions, right? That's really how the start of July is going to feel for a lot of us, and that's probably more, that Mercury retrograde energy is reflecting on, do the things around me feel emotionally supportive and inspiring or not? And what cleanup do I need to do in order to have more harmony, um, and feel more emotionally sound and supported, moving forward with everything? Because it's like when life gets crazy, when life gets chaotic, it's so important to have emotional support around us and things that nurture us. So, yeah, that's kind of what's upcoming. Um, I'll really save the rest for next week's update, but I also think the full moon in Capricorn is going to bring up that for a lot of us, do the structures and systems I have in my life support me or not, and what adjustments do I need to make? So, yeah, that's next week's energy. As always, let me know how your horoscope resonated with you in the comments. I'll reply to as many as I can. Love you, and I'll see you next week.